What's up, everybody? Pavise here, back with another Fire Emblem Engage video. This time, I've got a guest with me to talk about all of the stuff that was shown off in the new Somniel trailer. We got the English version now as well. We've got Gast here. How you doing, Gast?
How's it going? I'm doing well. Looking forward to talking about this absolute roller coaster of a game / trailer.
What's your gut feeling? What's your gut check about the Somniel stuff in specific?
I think honestly, most of it is like a retreading of my castle, which I think is okay. There's definitely some things that I'm not really super keen on, or things that I'm skeptical over, but for the most part, it's my castle. Like, I don't know what to say. It's my castle, like 2.0.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people where I've got a lot of comments for really shocked about this, but I think when you boil it down, there's actually not a lot here that we haven't seen before on like a base level. Like, this is an iteration on my castle, a bit of monastery, kind of with a bit more fleshed out, a bit more features, a bit more mini games, but fundamentally we've kind of seen a lot of this before. It's kind of just all come together in a new form.
Yeah.
I guess the most, or one of the more shocking things, or more interesting things, I don't know if I'd say shocking, but more interesting areas is this whole ring system. And I've seen a lot of people a bit upset about the whole gacha element to the kind of side rings. And I mean, the petting or the cleaning minigame for the rings is a bit ridiculous in what they showed off. But overall, I think it's fun. I think it's interesting.
I don't think it's a gacha thing. Like, I think that's a kind of an unfounded, like, because gacha just heavily implies it's going to be monetized, and this is an in-game mechanic. I don't even really know how, like, it works entirely, but it doesn't strike me as something that you need to pay for, which makes it like it's only as far as gacha as like you get random boosts here and there and you combine them into like better versions of bonding rings, and then you equip those to either your emblem or you equip them to your unit as an accessory. I'm not really sure how it works, but it's just they're just like passive boosts. Like, that's all it is. And as far as the ring polishing goes, it is a little goofy, and I guess I'm just kind of indifferent. Like, it's pretty silly. You're polishing like Sigurd's like backside, and he's like a little too close there or whatever, and it's just really goofy, and it's like a less offensive form, if offensive for lack of a better term, than Fates' face petting and face blowing, and it's that's all it is. Like, I don't want to go through like the emotional turmoil of the Fates face petting, because we've been there already, but this is a toned down version of that, it feels like.
Yeah, it's something silly. It's something fun. I hope it's not maybe too tedious to upkeep these. I don't know what the exact effects of the happiness of the rings have on the actual stats or how they actually perform.
Yeah, that actually is a good point, because that gauge seems quite long.
Yeah, so if this is something that's got to be like constant upkeep, and I guess this is a trend I think that spreads to the whole Somniel thing, is how much of a side thing is it, and how important versus how important it is to do. Like, if I don't do all these mini games and I don't do all these like small side things, is that going to actually impact like my gameplay in a meaningful way? Is it something I have to do, or is it more of a side thing that I can do? Because my castle definitely felt super optional in terms of a lot of the stuff in there.
Yeah, my castle felt your biggest obligations for my castle was getting stat boosts, like temporary stat boosts for the next battle, or upgrading your shop and your armories. And those were like the big two things. There were some other random things you'd find on the ground, but those are the big two. So it does strike me as Somniel is a bit of a mix between the monastery and my castle in terms of like kind of what you said earlier. So hopefully the upkeep, like you mentioned, isn't going to be like super mandatory, like, because that would be like a drag on, because that gets repetitive, as we saw with Three Houses.
Yeah, I was going to bring up Three Houses as the alternative to my castle, where my castle is heavily optional. Monastery is embedded into the game. There's no avoiding it. It's part of the system on a very core level of how that game is structured.
Yeah, if you don't use it, you kind of kneecap yourself pretty bad.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see the balance, if there is a balance here, or where that kind of lands in the scale of my castle, the monastery, in terms of how often you have to do things. Because obviously you're going to be using the rings a lot in the gameplay, nonstop. And if this happiness or ring content meter like heavily impacts the performance of these rings in any way, it is going to be something you have to interact with on a regular basis. But if it's just small bonuses or if it's mainly just tied to supports, then I probably wouldn't mind as much. But I think a lot of these mini games are going to have to, well, we'll see what line they tread when we actually have the game in terms of how much they're tied into the actual systems.
For sure.
Another cool thing, I guess, that we see later is this map creation or defense kind of mechanic or system. This also reminds me, wasn't there something like this in Fates as well with My Castle? You set units as a defense?
Yeah, you would basically set up your My Castle in a defense map, and then every so often there would be like a raid from like these spectral guys, or like the Valates, I guess. They would come and fight, but it was kind of like, here's a random battle to do. And also, I'm pretty sure there was like a PvP aspect to it, and you could fight on your home map. I don't remember though.
I think it was a Street Pass thing or something.
Yeah,
Street Pass related.
Maybe it was Street Pass related. Yeah.
This seems like another feature from that they're lifting in though, in terms of this doesn't feel like a full-on map editor. It feels like here's your zone, fill it with obstacles, kind of like there's something like this in Heroes 2, right?
Yeah, and Aether Raids. Yeah,
Aether Raids. You have your setup, put your units in place, and then the kind of AI does a lot of the work for when people attack it. So
yeah,
another thing where we've kind of seen this before, actually.
Yeah, I hope there's more to it than this. Like, you could increase the height and width of the map itself. You have more things to put on. I think they have something really cool here with a pseudo like FE map maker. There's only so much you can do for a mini game for like something like this. You can't like obviously customize events or like make anything like special out of it, but like a cool defense map is cool. I feel like inspired to try to lift something out of my own ROM hack into something like this, if it's possible. I don't really know if I can do that, but maybe I can do something like that. And I think it would be cool to have like a community series where you could like have people like submit maps for you to beat or something, because that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, that could be a lot of fun. Like you, I don't think this is probably going to be too comprehensive in terms of like you're saying, custom events or triggering like.
Oh, there's no way. I was just saying that, but like there's no fucking way they're doing that for this.
Yeah, there's no way. Which, you know what, it's somewhat unfortunate. I think a Fire Emblem with a map editor could be really cool, but I don't think that's quite what we're getting here. We're getting something a little more bare bones. That's kind of a side social feature or a side thing, as opposed to a kind of keystone of the game. I feel like if there were to ever be a map editor in a Fire Emblem game, it'd have to be in some way a big feature of that game. That's not something you do lightly, or you just put it in the game as a side thing.
Yeah, this is definitely like a fun activity to do. But it looks fun as fuck, so there you go.
Yeah. One thing I really like that they're doing relative to the monastery is really making it feel like this kind of area is more alive in terms of what people are doing and their poses. It seems a lot more dynamic than in Three Houses. Three Houses had a bit of, variation in what characters were doing, but here you got people swimming, lounging around, all unique poses, dressed up in custom clothes. I really do like that they've kind of brought it a bit more to life, or made it more dynamic than the monastery was in terms of the characters in the space.
It's definitely fulfilling its role as this getaway resort, floating castle in the sky type deal where you can do anything.
I felt this with My Castle too, where you'd be in like a super serious chapter in Fire Emblem Fates. Bam, you're back in My Castle, where nothing matters. I worry that maybe this game looks like it also has a bit of a out there story with some crazy story beats. And I am a bit worried that it'll be a nice break between chapters, but it might also be a bit jarring going back to your resort in the sky after, I don't know, Marth just killed one of your friends or something in the story, or Red Marth just went on a rampage.
It does strike me as this is definitely the most casual aspect of the game, especially when you're watching like your allies like sunbathe and shit, or like wear a suit and like have dinner, or like go to the cafe or whatever. There's definitely like a potential risk for that kind of dissonance to happen. But I think the idea is just you can do anything relaxing in this area. It's disconnected from everything. Even like I actually commented on this in my reaction that some of these outfits were like really, really jarring. And then someone said, well, yeah, but they're not actually going to be part of like the story or the gameplay. Like you're going to like all of these outfits are just reserved to the Somniel, which kind of made me think like, okay, I guess it's like it's in its own vacuum. And if that bothers you as far as like a story integration thing goes, where you can just go through like some traumatic fucking like insane event in the story and then you just go back to like sunbathing or taking a nap or like, I don't know, doing push-ups or squats with your buddies, then yeah, I mean, I guess that's a hang-up that you're gonna have, but hopefully even in the Somniel that people have something to say about the story or about the events going on, like they did in Three Houses. That would be at least a decent way to do it. So again, we'll just have to see when the game actually comes out.
Yeah, that's something in Three Houses that I both liked and disliked. Liked in that I really liked seeing every character's perspective on what was going on in the story at that time. Disliked in that I had a bunch of conversation boxes that I had to go and clear off my map of the monastery.
Yeah, that's the double-edged sword of it.
Yeah, you get everyone's perspective, but you've got to walk up and talk to every single person in that area, which can take a while. Yeah, as for the outfits, I mean, in Three Houses, didn't they let you wear the goofy outfits in battle? Like, they had some goofy outfits you could put on, or some side outfits I think you could wear into battle.
You could have DLC like the maid and the butler outfit you could wear in battle.
So maybe you could wear these. I don't know. I guess we don't know if these are confirmed to just be stuck in Somniel. It could actually be in battle, and I feel like that's something this game wouldn't even blink at. There's so much wild stuff in this game that I feel like anything is on the table in terms of wacky customization and stuff that you can do.
Yeah, for better or worse.
For better or for worse. Tea Time's got it a bit of a expansion. Cafe.
Yeah, you can literally
tea.
get there's someone working behind the desk and they make food for you and they provide buffs and stuff. It's souped up Fates. Because in Fates that happened too. You had someone working behind like the kitchen and then they would make food. And like I mentioned, I think Arthur was like really bad at cooking food or something, but some characters provided like some like certain kinds of buffs, things like that.
It's a fun thing. I mean, does this have conversation prompts like Three Houses did? Because Three Houses tea time, you got to like pick dialogue choices as you talked.
Yeah, I don't know if that's in this game. I think it's just we're gonna have a meal together and we're gonna boost our supports.
Like you're saying, it is more dining hall than tea time, and yeah, I don't think we've seen a tea time feature, at least explicitly, where you pick dialogue options and build up supports.
Which is funny because I think in some dev interviews they were like, wow, this feature's like everyone loves this feature, let's bring it back for Three Hopes. And they were like, okay, because it was a really, really popular feature.
Oh yeah, it's something that everybody talked about like and had fun with. I enjoyed it too. I'm not a huge fan of Three Houses, but that is one of the pieces that I always enjoyed. It's just a fun, small interaction that's just, I don't know, very enjoyable. It's a shame if it's gone, that it's gone. Ultimately, I don't think it's too consequential if it's not there, but it's a bit of a shame. It would be something you'd expect to be back, especially with this type of setup. But
yeah, they had a lot of momentum going in with Three Hopes, because Three Hopes, I find the writing behind the expeditions were like insanely good. So yeah, it'd be nice if these characters had it too, because we don't really know much about them yet. And hopefully the supports do a fine enough job. But you know, the more activities, like the better, I guess. And Tea Time would be really one that I think you would want to carry over, because that was a banger.
Brief detour off of something you said, and something I'd want to pick your brain about, considering the type of videos you put up your channel with the characters of like analysis. What is your first impression of this cast? Obviously, we don't have the full details, the full backstories. We just have visuals and small snippets of dialogue. But is this a cast you're excited to learn more about, excited to analyze, or are like what's your kind of I don't know, gut take on the cast as we know now?
I think they're a colorful cast They don't have terribly gimmicky personalities as what it seems. They have like, standard, like, this is my default personality. I like to go exercise. I'm loyal. I'm kind of zany. Which is, boilerplate default Fire Emblem traits, like across all games anyway. I think they're intriguing enough. There are some characters who I'm really excited to learn more about. Like, I think his name was Zalkov, the thief from Illusia. Boucheron is really cool. Brodia, the Brodia guy. Diamond. Even learning more about Alir, if possible, would be good. So, I think, the supports are going to be fleshed out and good. I mean, we have a precedent in 3 houses of really, really good support writing. And if they carry over with that, then yeah, I'm super looking forward to it, because support writing in 3 houses and 3 hopes were absolutely stellar. And if they can keep that up, then I'm very excited for the characterization.
Yeah, I think whenever we're at this point in Fire Emblem releases and we only know the base level, it really is the supports in most Fire Emblem games that really elevate the characters to that kind of next level beyond their default presenting face that they're shown in trailers. So I think, like you're saying, we don't have the supports yet. Once we have those and we read them through, then yeah, I think from those we'll probably learn a lot more and really get into the writing of this game and see exactly what's going on. Without that, it's kind of incomplete picture.
Yeah, even with characters who I think look really corny, like Panette or Hortensia, and to an extent Yunaka. Like, I talked about this in my trailer as well, and I caught some flack for it because I was a little like ahead of myself talking about Panette. She's dressed very like gothic-y and clowny, but she, according to her profile, she is into ghost stories and a bit of has a rebellious streak. And that does set up intrigue for, maybe they're going to make a connection between in her supports why she dresses the way she does, and why does she act the way she does with regards to how she dresses, because she wears like bandages around her arms and like she has like makeup which looks like they're stitches. So it's like, well, okay, you've got my attention. Let's see what you got as far as substance goes. So things like that, I'm looking forward to see if there's actual like substance behind a design like that, and hopefully there is, because that means they wrote a good character. So
yeah, I know people, from what I've seen, have been pretty harsh on the characters in this game. I think based on the new design style, the more out there crazy designs. I feel like people are maybe jumping the gun a bit in terms of maybe writing off the characters too fast just because of their designs. I think the writing team is probably the same or similar to what we've got before. So I think with these new designs, I'd probably see the writers at least finding ways to make those designs make sense, or ground them in some way. I feel like people are maybe been writing the characters off a bit too fast, because yes, there are some crazy designs. There's some wacky ones in there for sure.
Yeah, I think like in saying the thing about Panette, I don't want to be that guy who like shits on Panette, because like I already did that with Perry and I don't want to live through that again. But like, in saying that, I think it's totally fine to have like misgivings about certain designs, and certain character designs, and be miffed about how some characters look. But again, we don't, like, it's kind of like what you said. We don't know what these characters are all about until we get them. But in spite of that, I think it's still totally fine to like have all that context anyway and still be like, they look dumb.
Yeah, agreed.
and I think, and yeah, I think even if you have like a really justifiable explanation for why certain characters look the way they do, you can still in the back of your mind be like, I don't like this design as much as like Diamond or like Alfred, or any comparison to like previous artists and character designers and stuff like that. So hopefully that made sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's undeniable. This is a new kind of level of character design in terms of how kind of extravagant the designs are compared to what we've had before. And I totally get people not liking it. I mean, people have tastes. Taste is by definition subjective. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah, especially in the case of this series where lead character designers change often, and these different character designers have different interpretations of like what a Pegasus Knight looks like, or what a mage looks like, or whatever, right? Like, it's not like consistent, and consistent's like a weird word because like that implies if it's not consistent, it's bad in inconsistency. But it varies, it changes. People have like these artists have different tastes, they have different like ways of designing their characters, and ultimately the art director approves of them, so we just blame them instead. we blame the art director.
I still remember when people were super, miffed about Kozaki's designs. People probably still are, but
yeah,
I feel like
Kozaki's designs still like.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of people have come around on Kozaki. Like when Kozaki is doing new heroes art or doing new stuff in the series, I see a lot of people excited for it. Whereas, I feel like I would have seen that before in terms of when Awakening first came out. But yeah,
that's funny Kozaki's mentioned because I still don't like Awakening. I don't like his designs for Awakening and Fates. I mean, they're like objectively like great art, obviously, but just the style of them.
What, Toilet Bowl Knights? You don't?
not a huge fan of some of those designs.
Anyways, a bit of side tangent there. Let's head back to Somniel. The screenshot, the thing that I think everybody was sharing from this trailer, and everybody, including myself, was clickbaiting the hell out of, was the exercise minigame.
Bro, this is sick.
I also think this is sick. I think it actually makes... At first, I was in pure shock almost of like, what is going on? This is crazy. But the more I thought about it, the more I actually loved it as a fit for this type of area, and it's a fun side thing that I think is just going to be entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really wacky. Would people work out on their free time? Would they do bodyweight exercises? Sure, yeah. I mean,
would they wear sweatpants?
That's a question that I do not have the answer to, because I don't know. People will find crazy things to justify about like the art style or why things are, designed the way they are, or like that kind of thing for Engage. I don't know. Maybe it makes sense in this universe. Fuck if I know. The Somniel is different. It's built different.
It's definitely built different compared to that My Castle.
Yeah.
I don't know if we know the exact effects of this minigame. Does it just raise your stats?
Yeah, raise her dexterity for some reason, which was dumb because he's doing strength training. It literally says strength training squats, and you got dexterity. What's going on here?
But yeah, this is one of those things where also I hope it has some impact, but not too much.
Yeah, this seems like she did like 50 squats.
It was 30 push-ups. It was out of 30
You told me you have to spend like, is this for like every character? Like, how often do I have to do this?
Yeah, it ties back to how long it actually takes, because if it's a short, fun minigame, I don't mind it. If I've got to like grind out constant push-ups for all my characters to give the ball +1 dexterity, I don't know. I don't know if I'm sold on it. But
yeah, hopefully it's just specific to Alir or gives like global buffs or something. Or maybe like they last for more than one chapter. I don't know. But this is like one of those things where if they design it well, then it won't be annoying to micromanage all the time. But if they don't, and it's something you have to keep doing over and over again, it's like, oh my god, I'm going on autopilot when I go to the Somniel.
Mm-hmm. Because we know they've had a lot of time. This game does not strike me as rushed at all.
Not a chance, no.
No, so because it doesn't look rushed, I have a bit more, I'm going to give them more benefit of the doubt that they've kind of got it right here. We'll see. We don't have the game. Maybe they decided that they really wanted it to play like that, and they really committed to it. But I think knowing that they've had a lot of time, I'm going to give them a bit more, like I said, benefit of the doubt that they got it right here. Only time will tell, though.
Yeah.
What other minigames were in here?
Sommie. The dog thing.
Oh, yeah.
The dog.
Oh, yeah, this thing? This was another point in the trailer where I also was like, what is going on?
This is literally Lilith, too.
Yeah, it is Lilith too.
Same colors, like Lilith's shrine is Sommie's shrine. Instead of Lilith giving you like bouillons and shit, you're getting currency. I think it's really cute. I think it's really goofy. There's a certain respect I have to give to Engage in this because they just said, we're just going in with as much fun and casual, like whatever as we want. And I got to give it up. That's pretty respectable. They were just like, hey, we're just going to go all in, reckless abandon, all these fun activities, all these outfits, all these fun things to do. You know, happy 30th, Fire Emblem.
No, this game truly has no fear. And that's why I like you. I very much respect it. I've seen some people say that like, oh, it looks like Fire Emblem's going through an identity crisis. I actually don't think that with this entry at all. This seems very intentional in terms of everything they're doing. Maybe you can make the argument in the grand scheme of this series that this is some form of identity crisis, but everything here feels super intention to lean into that fun, casual vibe. So, like you said, no fear, massive respect for just pure committing to this type of direction, especially after or considering that our previous entry was probably the polar opposite in the form of Three Houses, Three Hopes in terms of the tone of the overall world and vibe of that story and game. You couldn't, just a wild change in direction.
But crazy whiplash.
If this game, like the leak said, was intended as a, the 30th anniversary game, then it makes so much more sense why it is like this. It makes it at least more palatable or understandable to me, and it gets me a bit more excited as like this is intended more as a celebration and a fun celebration of the series, as to opposed to something entirely new. Well, in its own way, it is entirely new, but I think you know what I'm getting at here. It's
yeah. Like, I do know that there are sentiments of, the series has lost their way. I can't keep looking at the previews. It's too bad. Blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. I can sympathize to an extent because it is like crazy tonal difference. I don't think that this is going to be like a norm for like going forward with like the next iterations of Fire Emblem. This series is so unpredictable that even if they make this crazy celebration, like this insanely casual, these crazy casual features, a story that is relative to the rest of the series pretty simple, and obviously it's hard to just innately take a story like this seriously when it's so much of it is like ingrained in the old heroes, already. Mm-hmm. I don't think this is like an omen for the rest of the series. Like, I think the next Fire Emblem game after this is probably going to be another crazy tonal shift that might be more serious, that might have more focus on its own characters. And this is just like another diverging path for Fire Emblem. And they're just going to go all in with their goofy, fun mechanics. And then they're probably going to go back to a Three Houses type vibe. I understand people being like concerned or worried about the game and how casual it is, and the art style being like very, I don't want to say anime.
The amount of comments I got that says this is too anime is it's the adjective most people are using to describe it, but I know why you're reluctant.
Like, I guess maybe like appealing to like modern sensibilities. I think it's just a game, and it's going to be a fun game. And embrace Engage, man, because it's gonna be here for a while.
I was very surprised by the amount of comments I got on the video I made about this about the Somniel trailer. People saying, I got tons of comments like, this isn't Fire Emblem anymore, rip Fire Emblem, this is way too far, like what are they doing? I really couldn't disagree more with that sentiment, to be honest. Like, I get where it's coming from. This is a drastic tonal shift. But also, a lot of the core elements here are quintessential Fire Emblem, or at least encapsulate a lot of what the series has been doing over the past couple of entries. Like, this feature, in of itself, Somniel, is built off the backs of my castle and the monastery. And even then, this is just kind of the sideshow between the chapters. fundamentally, this game is still a tactics game. I feel sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle when you got a 6-minute trailer about the side thing. But this is still a tactics game. And the gameplay, in my opinion, for what I've seen, looks very exciting or interesting in terms of how they're switching it up. At the end of the day, you're still moving units on a grid.
Yeah. I think, though, the reason why I can very much feel for people who feel like disconnected from this game, whether it's from an art style or from the activities or from the tone of the story or the direction of the story when it comes to, you know, relying on Marth and dragging him into another fucking Fire Emblem game. When Fates was first announced, it was really, really exciting. And then when you got more previews about mechanics and the crazy like news cycle that Fates went through, where there was like the Soleil thing and there was the face petting getting removed for the English version thing.
Yep.
I felt a disconnect when I was in, well, that was 2015, I think. Fates came out in 2015.
Yeah.
So it's 2023. It's going to be 2050. So that was 8 years ago. I was like in my early 20s, and I was like, my channel was pretty fucking toxic about Fates at the beginning. And it's just something I understand because I was there.
Yep.
And to that extent, I can sympathize with people having misgivings about the game. And to the point about the gameplay looking very promising, I don't want to be like overly skeptical, but obviously a game is going to put their best foot forward when it comes to gameplay trailers and stuff.
For sure.
And we won't know if there's actual like severe like wrinkles in the gameplay. I'm actually working on an editorial type video right now which might actually be out by the time this is out, but I was like concerned about what are the potential risks of having so much player control or so much control in the player phase when you have chain attacks, break mechanics, emblems, are like with all these things put together, like how will it affect like the difficulty curve type thing? And you know, that's a legitimate concern. Like I have faith that if they're going to be sticking this close to Fates, then maybe the gameplay is going to be like Conquest number 2, and that would be sick. But then again, maybe they overlook some aspects of their own ideas and things get out of control, like in 3 Houses just recently, where you can build characters so broken that they can just end turn and fucking defeat the entire map. So like, who knows how good the gameplay is going to be, or it's probably going to be really fun. Like Fire Emblem, like modern Fire Emblem is like really, like Awakening's really, really fun. Echoes is really, really fun. Fates is really, really fun. 3 Houses is really, really fun. So I don't doubt Engage is going to be fun, but how broken is it going to be is the big question for me.
Yeah, Fire Emblem is already a very delicate game balance-wise. It is very easy for things to spin out of control in a Fire Emblem game. And this game's introducing a lot of stuff that, on first glance, I was like, that looks kind of crazy. I don't know how they're going to balance that. We'll see if they pull off that act, because it does, like you're saying, a lot of player face strength here that they're adding. We'll see if they manage to balance the game around that and execute it. Because Fire Emblem games already have stuff that doesn't even look as crazy as this, but ends up being, when you put it all together, insanely broken. And stuff on the surface here is already looking insanely broken. So we'll see how it actually plays out. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's all we can do at this point, is speculate. We can give our impressions, we can say how we feel, but nothing is going to be having the game in our hands and actually playing and feeling out how it kind of all comes together.
Yeah. I really like the outfit customization, stuff like that. If it were up to me, I would rather, like, with all these like costumes and stuff, I kind of would rather have like more callbacks to other characters and like their full-on outfit. Just me dreaming about like you can get a Garrick or like Avel outfit instead of like what they have right now. I think that's a really fun idea if you could actually like equip like side characters, just be represented, like popular side characters and stuff as styles. It'd take a lot more effort, I guess, for the designers to make these outfits, but that'd be a really cool way to call back to the old games instead of just being the emblems.
We'll see, because I feel like this game, especially more than I guess other Fire Emblem games, has massive DLC potential. I know people are already upset about Day 1 DLC. We don't have to get into open that can of worms. But I feel like that might be a possibility for maybe some DLC down the line to maybe introduce some costumes for maybe some characters that didn't make the cut in terms of being added as emblems. But I think even the characters that probably get added as emblems in the future will probably get some outfits in here or get some items in here. We'll see how they actually execute that idea. But I'm personally really excited, not just for the costumes, but just being able to dress up characters just overall and just put them in outfits that I think suit them or that I like. It's one of those features where if you would ask me 5-6 years ago, I'd say I could not give a single damn. But something over the past 4 or 5 years, I saw this feature and I literally like fist bumped. I was so excited.
It's funny you say that because like I do not care about accessories. Like my thing is, we're playing a single player game. Like who the fuck cares? Like that's my thing. Like when it comes to all the customizable accessories you can put on, like I don't really give a shit. But in saying that, I would like to have like, I will like use these styles because I like these characters and I think it's a cool callback to like old games like I literally just said. But when it comes to like, you can put on glasses or a mask, it's like, okay, who cares? Like,
I am the polar opposite. I care a lot.
Yeah, I literally don't.
I want so many styles of glasses to put on characters and pick them all for each character. Like you don't understand. I never thought I needed this until I saw it, and I was like, yes, please let me do this.
You're the
I'm the guy.
This game is appealing to.
Yeah. I feel like this game has been very divisive in terms of who is and isn't excited about it. I'm finding myself extremely excited for it, which is interesting because when it came to Three Houses, I wasn't excited for that game actually at all. Well, I was very skeptical of that game. But with this new game, for some reason, something about it, of its craziness and over-the-topness, it just makes me really eager to play it. Like, I want to see how this actually works, how it actually plays out because of all the zany stuff going on. So, you know what? Customizable stuff, exercise, mini games, give it all. Give it all. If you're going to have this one shot where you're going crazy with the zany stuff, may as well, like, put it full throttle. I'm here for it.
Well, you make a fine point. Like, if this is the game they want to go balls to the wall, let's just be as goofy and fun as possible and like celebrate the series as much as we can, then I mean that's what they're doing. But there's just some things that like I think are cool and some things that I don't really care about. But when you cast a wide net like that, you're gonna get people who, like you, are really excited for the accessories, and people like me who are like, that's cool.
Yeah. I feel like this game is really trying to appeal to a wider audience.
Oh, for sure. They would not have this much if they were like trying to be more grounded and stuff. Like, no.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. They're definitely trying to expand the series reach, which is interesting that they're trying to do that with the kind of celebration game, because Three Houses, Three Hopes, or Three Houses at least, sold pretty well, didn't it? Isn't it up there in terms of the sales as well?
It was the highest selling Fire Emblem game. And then,
right, it's number one. Okay.
Yeah, but the number of pre-orders for Engage has already passed the pre-orders for Three Houses.
Mm-hmm.
And Engage isn't coming out until like 30 days. And they eclipsed Three Houses.
That was a while ago, right? Or
it was like, yeah, they eclipsed Three Houses maybe like a week or so ago. So like this game is slated to just be the highest selling Fire Emblem game of all time. It's just going to happen. Yeah, it's huge. It's going to be a huge game, which is sick because that's, you know, good for everyone. If more people play Fire Emblem and like Fire Emblem, that's awesome for me. I love that shit. Make Fire Emblem the best, most popular Fire Emblem or Nintendo IP ever. That's great. And that's what if this is what it takes, then go there. Do more, please.
Yeah, I think
don't stop now.
Yeah, I think for people maybe a bit disappointed in this, I think they can maybe take solace in that, like, or maybe it's hard to tell the future, but I feel like with the rise of Fire Emblem generally in terms of its popularity, like a rising tide, what's the expression? A rising tide lifts all ships kind of deal. Because the series is getting so much attention, you will have more money and more kind of, I guess, weight to throw around in terms of when they do revisit those older titles or older entries and those ideas, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
I think about Fire Emblem Echoes in that way, Shadows of Valentia. Gaiden was one of the most obscure games in the entire series, and they because of the success of Awakening Fates, that meant they could really, despite Echo's not performing the best overall as a game, they were really able to pour a lot of money and a lot of like care into that like remake to make Gaiden of all games appealing and palatable to a modern audience, just bringing that game back to life.
Yeah, I think though, when it comes to sales, they didn't sell like a lot, but they sold what they were expected to sell, which is huge. Like that's a really good thing.
Yeah, so for people who are fans of older entries, take solace in the fact if this game does extremely well, that only means, because I think the remakes will come. Like, Fire Emblem follows that pattern, I think, to a T enough to where they will come eventually. Just take solace in the fact that's a bit of money. Some of this change will hopefully trickle down to those remakes if that's what you're more interested in than something like this.
I'm optimistic. I think Fire Emblem is sick. And if you ask me, like, when I was in my early 20s, I'd probably have more, like, misgivings about, the direction of the series. But the crazy thing about the trajectory of the series is that you have no idea where they go from here. Because the sentiments that I had with Awakening and Fates, especially with the latter, was that, like, I remember, like, saying, this Fates is like a soulless cash grab, like, look at all these, like, waifu mechanics. And then they come out with Echoes. And it's like, what? Okay. And then...
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that game was fucking awesome. Like, just play Echoes, bro. And then Three Houses comes out, and it's like the story is a library of ideas and world building and stuff. And then they 180'd into this, and it's like, I don't know what you're doing next. I literally have no idea. Like, I can't even feel bad for the future of the series because I did that once, and my most sentimentally favorite game in the series got remade, and it like was fucking awesome. So
yeah.
I just don't think you can confidently say like you know where the trajectory of Fire Emblem is going, or like the series is downhill. Bro, this series changes like 9 million times like per second. It's fucked.
Yeah, it is insane. It is a constantly evolving series. It's always changing. It does make it, like you're saying, impossible to tell what's going to come next.
which is part of the fun, honestly. It's part of the intrigue. It's it's such a crazy series. The whole
keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. Oh my god. What a game. What a game. Oh my god. What a game, dude.
So yeah, we covered a lot of ground, and we talked a lot longer than I thought we were gonna talk. I don't know how long this video is gonna turn out to be, but I think final thoughts overall, at least on my end, I'm super excited for this game. I can't wait to play it. If it's a dumpster fire, you know what? It's a dumpster fire. If it's great, it's great. I just want to have it in my hands and see. For that alone, I'm excited, whether it is good or bad.
I think that the story direction is decently safe enough. I hope the story is just like competent and like serviceable and good. And then if that's good, then I hope the gameplay is solid, and it's already projected to be like really, really fun, obviously. And I hope the characters are better quality than Three Houses. If that's the case, then there's really nothing to worry about. My big three is story, characters, and gameplay. And if you can have I said this in another video, if you can have a competent story and like well-written characters and fun gameplay, like you made a good Fire Emblem game. And not every Fire Emblem game can do all three. That's the thing. Like, it sounds like a no-brainer, like, oh, okay, I'll just have well-written characters and a good story and fun gameplay. Well, like, Fire Emblem has never been like a 3-for-3 series every single time. If Engage can do all those things, then there you go. You made a good game. Congrats.
Yeah, it's honestly at this point, the game's coming out so soon. I think we're at the month or around the month point now. We'll learn soon enough. We'll know soon enough how this actually turns or pans out. I just want to thank you one more time, Gas, for coming on.
My pleasure.
Appreciate you hopping on. This was a super fun conversation. If you enjoyed, be sure to check out Gas. I'll leave a link probably on the screen and in the description. And you'll sure to get more Fire Emblem Engage content from Gas. There's sure to be more Fire Emblem Engage content on this channel too, so subscribe, enjoy the content, have fun with Engage if you're picking it up.
Deuces. Goodbye.
See ya.